Welcome back to the Golf Mom Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Alicia Nicole. I'm a golf mom and my son's caddy. This podcast is for parents, junior golfers, and business owners in the golf space who support youth development. We explore the highs and lows and life lessons of raising junior golfers, both on and off the course. We dive deep into the mental game, resilience, confidence, and the family balance that comes with this sport. Each week, I bring guests to you and conversations from parents, junior golfers themselves, coaches, mindset mentors, and golf industry leaders who are also business owners and are shaping the future of junior golf by offering practical tools, encouragement, inspiration, and even products to help young athletes thrive. You can catch this show on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and YouTube. If you are a golf brand looking to connect with junior golf families, please send us a DM on Instagram or send us an email, which is in the show notes below. Lisa Kohout is a devoted wife, mother, and passionate advocate for creating calm, supportive environments for young athletes. For more than 6 years, Lisa has homeschooled her son while guiding and supporting his journey as a competitive junior golfer. Balancing academics, nutrition, travel, and tournament life with intentional steadiness and grace. Through firsthand experience, Lisa understands the unique pressures families face in junior golf, from constant travel schedules to performance expectations and the emotional highs and lows of golf. As an expert in nutrition, she brings a disciplined yet practical approach to fueling young athletes for consistency, health, and longevity. Lisa believes mindset begins at home, shaped daily through routines, communication, and emotional environment parents create. Her philosophy centers on presence over pressure, confidence over comparison, and sustainability over short-term results. She is also the founder of Good Girl Golf, a luxury women's golf lifestyle brand that blends her family's love of the game and her own passion of style, beauty, and self-expression, empowering women to show up both for themselves with confidence and individuality. Lisa, I am so excited to have you on the Golf Mom Mindset Podcast to talk all things junior golf, parenting, and even your business, Good Girl Collective. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk with you today.
Yeah, well, there's so many topics I want to cover with you, but first and foremost, I want to dive right into the fact that you are a fellow junior golf mom, and I would like to start off about that journey and how that all began, how you got into golf, how your family did, and how you started the junior tournament route.
Okay, so my son started the junior tournaments around 10 years old. We belong to a club locally. My husband, long history of golf in the family. So naturally, for my son to pick up a golf club, it was non-issue. It was going to happen. So he's been holding on to a golf club since he could grasp something. And he started doing lessons at the club 3 or 4 years old. And he was very good at it and he enjoyed it. And it's a sport that he has stuck with all along the way. He's 13 now. We tried basketball, soccer, football. I think that covers the sports. Didn't try much other than that. He didn't really take to any of them. So golf it was. And we play winter golf in this weather right now. And we started with US Kids, kind of like everybody, doing the locals. And then he started doing, states and regionals and got invitations to Future Masters. And we do some other tournaments. And it's been a lot. It's competitive. It's expensive. It's a family commitment. It is not just a child heading out to like the baseball field or something. And it is a whole family experience for us.
Yes, definitely a family affair and commitment and time commitment, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, the time is intense for us, the parents, and also for him. Obviously, a lot, it falls on his shoulders, right? Like you have to be prepared to go. You have to be prepared mentally to handle what's coming your way. You need to be prepared with your equipment, how you're dressed, your snacks, sustainability, and all those things. Obviously, we're guiding the way, but if he's not bought in, it's a torturous journey that maybe needs to be rethought. So
Right.
it's a lot.
How would you, I guess, what age was it where you started kind of being less involved with like packing the bag and the snacks and kind of turn it over to him and his responsibility? Or did you start that even at a young age?
So the responsibility, I still am the one that grabs what we need to go in the car.
Mhm.
Or when we get to the destination, I go to the store, pick up the items that we're going to need. So I gave him a lot of control in the sense of I want him to choose what is nutritious and what he's willing to eat. Because if you're going to put it in the bag and they're not going to eat it, it's just a waste of time anyway.
Yeah.
And one of the issues too, they don't typically know when to eat, what to eat in a 18 hole round. So he started obviously with 9 holes when you start young, and then it jumps to 18 and you're expected to know what to do at 18. And it happens pretty fast.
Yeah.
It's kind of a big jump for a junior golfer.
Absolutely. I mean, if you know too, I mean, sometimes 9 holes in a tournament feels super long with a kid
Yeah,
that I'm already at 8 years old. I'm like, in a few years, he's going to be 18 holes. And I'm just like, how is this going to happen? Like, it
it's a
just
big jump.
seems like a big commitment for
Yes.
everyone.
It is. We had him start practicing. So if 18 holes was going to start at 10, at 9, we had him start practicing playing 18 holes here and there. Not every round, but here and there because it is a big jump in stamina. You know, being in the running on between 16 and 18, you better have eaten at the 15th hole to hold you through those
Mhm.
last 3 holes. So we
Wow.
just do this 5, 10, 15. And if he
Okay.
looks over at me, he caddies himself now. He looks over at me and I'll just put up a 5. You know, if it's the 6th hole and I didn't see him eat, I'll just put up a 5. Or, 12th hole and I'm like this, he knows to eat something from the bag.
That is, first of all, I think it's so sweet you have your little hand gestures and this communication, nonverbal that you have with him on the course. That's super sweet, and I might have to steal that.
You should
Um,
steal it. It
and I
works.
love the 5, 10, 15. I mean, again, that's another takeaway that I think I'm gonna use and other parents will. I know that you really focus on nutritious, food and
Mhm.
health and all that, so I'd like to hear a little more about that and what kind of snacks you do recommend to him that he
Sure.
ultimately picks, and I'm sure over the years, by eating healthy food, he kinda naturally gravitates towards it because you weren't
Yeah.
letting him have Doritos and Gatorade on the course as much as maybe some other kids are.
Yeah. Yeah. My goal is to be really intentional about it. It I mean, it is difficult out there to pull out a sandwich, unwrapping a sandwich or unwrapping anything super nutritious. You can't pull out a Tupperware and eat, a pasta salad or something like that. So I tried to create things that worked together. So beef jerky is a big one, but he's very picky. He's not going to eat any beef jerky. So we tested out different ones until he found one that he liked. Applesauce, easy. He used to like the gummies, but I stopped with the gummies because they're bad for your teeth. I think though it gives that pleasure of chewing something gooey, chewy, which helps.
I'd love to talk more, Lisa, about the mindset and how you've mentioned, it has gotten way more competitive. There's probably been a lot of struggles. So can you talk to me kind of the journey of your son's mindset in golf and then how you have, as parents, have helped him along this way?
I have to say this is probably the biggest struggle in golf. Golf is very parallel to life. And so it's bigger than golf. It's a life struggle, right? How we talk to ourselves, what we think about ourselves. I definitely see the challenges with my son of feeling less than, or that he's not a winner, and he's a failure, or I'm not good at this pops up because golf will beat you down like every day of the week. Like you can even have a good round and win and still have mistakes in that round that you can't live with and upset you, and you talk back to yourself. So it's something we work on like all the time. Either my husband or I, we leave him an inspiration at because he's getting up on his own now. We have him get up on his own by his own like alarm clock. I got this great little alarm clock that's very calming. When it wakes him up, it's like birds chirping.
Oh,
So when
no.
he comes downstairs, there's always either a Bible verse or a note of encouragement that he sees the first thing in the morning.
I love
And
that.
then yeah, it's great. It's the first thing he hears is good morning. And then he goes over, he looks for it. He knows it's
Yeah.
there like every morning. There's that note. When we hear him talk poorly to himself, we address it. Is that what you would say to a friend? Why would you
Mhm.
talk to yourself that way? We even go so far as to say that's not acceptable. That's just not acceptable. We're not going to listen to that.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear it. So let's change that sentence. What is something else you could say?
Okay.
And immediately he thinks to himself, here's something else I could say, and says, something that's not negative.
Right.
But it's an all the time
Hmm.
work in progress. And then you got their peers letting them know how horrible they are. You can't do this. I'm better than you. You this. I won that. You didn't. And
Oh
like
my
that
goodness.
gets in their head.
Yeah.
And the kids don't mean anything by it as far as, they're just being kids and
Mhm.
competitive. And that's part of what golf is about. But sometimes, it goes to heart
Oh, yeah.
and you
Mhm.
take it in.
Oh, that hurts my heart to hear that kids can be like that too, and just wanna make, others feel bad versus trying to be
But it's just,
encouraging.
but they are, it's life, right? I have
Yeah.
3 children and all along the way, like it's life. It's there at all
Mm.
times.
So I
No
guess
kid is, no.
that's so true, and I guess trying to protect them from that is only gonna set them up for failure later in life because you have to teach these skills now, the
Mhm.
resilience to be able to combat that because as you know too, if they go the pro route, I mean, as for many fans they're gonna have a lot of haters too, and
Oh,
critical
always. Yeah.
people and news commentators even commenting on them, and if they can't master that at this age, younger, then they won't be ready for the big leagues, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's a work in progress. And I let him know that, like, it doesn't matter what someone thinks of you. It doesn't matter if they like you. We're not here on this earth to be liked.
Mhm,
It's great if people like you, but you have a higher purpose than that. And your
right.
purpose is like to yourself, to God, and to live and be the best that you can be. And so if you're doing that, you just like, we do this, like just
Yeah,
brush that off. That means nothing.
I
And a
love it.
friend of mine told me once that she tells her child something to the effect of, if you're with friends and they're dimming your light,
Mhm.
not letting you shine your light or shining your light with you, like try to think about who your friends are. You want to be around people that don't try to dim your light. And
Absolutely.
we told him that too. And it's a work in progress.
Who, lead deal with, which I'm sure you have, because I've talked to other parents who have, is when you're on the course and you notice that other juniors might be cheating or
Mm.
fubbing their score by a point or two. And how do you, as a parent, manage that, or how does your son? And I guess again, advice for us parents who are as you get into more competitive. How do you deal with that?
So that's one thing that drives me absolutely crazy. I would say out of myself, my husband, and my son, it probably bothers me the most because it irritates me to no end. I think honesty, authenticity, integrity is some of the highest, best parts of golf. So that it bothers me the most out of the three of us.
Mhm.
My husband's approach to my son has always been, you know, if you're playing the round and you see something, it's important that you as the player bring it up to an official or address the player and mention it and not always let it just sit by the wayside. Like be professional and you get to bring it up. Back in the days when my husband was caddying with him, obviously it could be my husband's responsibility as well at the time because he was caddying, right? And the kids were just learning. When you're a golfer and you're caddying yourself, you're supposed to be paying attention to your own game, your own ball, your own relationship with the course. You're not competing against the players. You're competing you against the course for a course record, par, whatever it is that you want to be in the running for the tournament, right? And so there's that level of pay attention to your own game. But if something blatantly is happening or you notice a score is wrong, someone writes down a 4 and it should have been a 5. I know my son says, I was keeping your scorecard, you had 5, and he will literally go through the shots.
Mm,
You hit driver, like I
yeah.
don't know how they remember
Yeah.
golfer, but I think all golfers remember. Like
Yeah.
even though they're playing their own game, somehow they remember what's going on around them to them for the most part.
Mhm.
Not always, but I mean, we tell him it's a game of integrity and
Yeah.
you have the responsibility, not the authority. You're not an authority over anyone, but you have the
Mm.
responsibility to play the game the way it's supposed to be played. You see cheating, it should be addressed.
I love that, and I wish more parents would follow that, or I hope that this just gives some parents listening some advice where you just kind of feel stuck in a pickle, and I know for
Why do you
me.
think some people don't say anything?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm one of them that hasn't said anything, but it's because I think before I was so unfamiliar with this sport, and I still am, and I feel like some of the other caddies, the dads out there, know what they're doing. So I have felt at a disadvantage of like, well, I don't know what I'm doing, and am I sure? Maybe, and then you start second guessing, maybe I counted wrong, or and everything. So I have felt at times like too shy to speak up. And with my son's age, I mean, he certainly is not going to, but then he's mad and the whole he's like, that wasn't right and all this. And
It's very hard on the kids to actually
no,
sit there and watch somebody cheat
right.
and know it's happening. I think too, I know we've been in situations where, someone's shooting 100 and something, right?
Mhm.
And they're shaving off strokes on their thing and they're doing it. I mean, if you bring it up, is it going to change anything for that kid that's
Yeah.
has no shot?
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah, maybe you don't say anything, I guess. I don't know. But
One
it's really
Yeah. One
delicate.
You made a point too that I think the reason in the past I haven't is because for a very long time, my son was always coming in last place. So for me to say something like, well, it really wouldn't affect my son anyway, because he was, no matter what, he was going to be in last place. But now that he's getting better, it does bode me to say, I'm going to have to speak up because now we're kind of in that crosshairs of if this person fudges their numbers, it changes my son's outcome.
It does, but also
Mhm.
his mindset is a part of that, right?
Yeah.
If he's walking around feeling like every time he plays with a group, that group is dogging him
Wow.
in such a way that they're fudging their scores and stuff,
Yeah.
I think he should
Yeah.
take the courage and responsibility to speak
Sure.
up for himself. It'll give him like a piece of himself that he maybe has lost along the way, that he was not able to be
That.
honest and have integrity.
Yeah.
You can always call on an official. It is true, the men know that a woman is less likely to speak up.
Mm.
They know it. It's just
Yeah.
human nature, right?
Maybe they're taking
I'm
advantage
not
of
putting
that.
men down.
Yeah. Mhm.
It's less likely that a mom's going to say, "Can we go over the rule on that?" But
Mhm.
as a mom, if you're his caddy and you're confused on something, you can call just as much as anyone else can and say, "Can I want to know what the club length was on that, or was that a drop that was legal?" And it's okay to ask those questions.
You are big on emotional steadiness as a foundation for young athletes. So, talk to me a little bit about what that looks like in your parenting and having older kids too. I'm assuming they played some sports or did some activities. So, in a way, you are a veteran mom because you've been
A little
through
bit.
so many different ages and phases. So, I would love to kind of hear how you have instilled that emotional steadiness in your children.
Okay. The first thing that comes to mind is, the kids always don't think it's very cool, but taking deep breaths. I
Mhm.
really feel like 5 deep breaths can diffuse any situation, whether it's an anger situation, self deprecation situation, or anxiety. Like if you can take 5 deep breaths and slow down and just feel, your authentic self for a minute, you can then make a decision with good emotional regulation and
Mhm.
think clearly.
Right.
So, I mean, that plays into, I think, anything from being upset to anything from being confused about what shot to take on the golf course.
Well, and even in life, this is great with homework, with friendships. I mean, it's stuff that are life skills too, beyond the golf course.
Yeah, it is. And sometimes I'm just like, okay, we're just going to take a break. Like
Mhm.
this can happen in homeschooling too, or even just the home gets active and you're cooking and something's going on and someone has an issue and they have an outburst. You're like, whoa, whoa,
Mhm.
let's wait a minute here. Let's take a reset.
Right.
Shut the TV off. Maybe you go outside,
Mhm.
get some fresh air, jump on the trampoline, take a minute to just sit down. Sometimes I'm just like, take a minute to go sit down
Mhm.
and rest, and
Right.
we'll come back to this.
Yeah. Kind of have a,
It
a
helps.
reset.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and speaking of homeschool, Lisa, I know we're going to talk more golf and even your business, but I do want to touch a little bit on homeschool because I am a recent homeschool mom of a few months ago, and it's a journey that is both beautiful and hard. And I don't know if this is forever for us or temporary, but right now we're fully in it and would love to hear a little bit about your journey that led you to the homeschool route and the beauty that you find in it, what led you to the homeschool route, and any advice you would have for parents who are in it or considering going that route.
Sure. So, I mean, it's an obvious one. COVID kind of opened up our world to homeschooling. It was first grade, and he was sent home, that second half of the year. I kind of just observed what was going on the computer and realized like this is something as a mom, like I should be teaching him. I can teach him. He doesn't have to go to school for this. And
Mhm.
then the fact that they were going to all go back in mask, it just broke
Mhm.
my heart. Like I couldn't put my 7-year-old in a mask. I just couldn't do it. And I have zero judgment on anybody that had to do that. Like people had no choice. They
Mhm.
had no choice. And not everybody can choose to homeschool and not everybody wants to do it. But at the time, my 2 children were grown. My older children were in high school and college, and I had one left at home, and I felt I had the time, space, and stamina to do it. So we started that second grade year. It was a little bumpy. I got some advice from some people on what to use for curriculum and such, and we started second grade. And we are now, he's a seventh grader. And just this coming fall, every year I said to him, do you still want to do this? Like, are you happy with this? We're happy with it. But do you want to go to school and have that experience? And every year he was like, no, I'm good. I'm good. Until this past year, he is ready. And we've always said for high school, we'd love him to have an experience somewhere with a friend group going through high school. So we're going to experience that this coming fall for eighth grade.
What advice would you give parents that are considering it, or maybe new parents who are just going into this route,
Okay.
homeschool? What advice would you give, having been through it now for 6 years?
Okay. My advice would be to be patient with yourself and with your child, to make a routine and a schedule, but not be so rigid that it feels like your kid is in school. Because sometimes, I know me, I'm like a little bit perfectionist, detail oriented, that I would be like, boom, boom, boom. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to accomplish this week. And here's how it's going to go. Just like in regular school, when they're going every day, there's a sickness, or they need to sleep in one morning, or they're up late that night, or grandma's coming to town, or,
Right.
I realized really quick that like my homeschool journey, I didn't want it to look like a rigid schedule, a school schedule. I wanted it to look like a lifestyle. And so we lived our family lifestyle and put school in it. We didn't live a school lifestyle and put our family in it. And I think when you go to conventional school, your whole world revolves around school and the school schedule and
Right.
what's required and what's needed. And when you homeschool, you can live your family lifestyle the way that you want it. And school comes in any way you want to create it, whether you do it in the morning, you're an afternoon school person. We, for the longest time, took Fridays off. Every Friday was off. We only did school Monday through Thursday. Only this year have we started doing some Friday morning stuff because he wants to head to school in the fall, that I wanted him to be prepared for the workload of what that looks like going into high school.
Right.
The other thing I did regularly, because I'm sort of a perfectionist, is I needed to know how I was doing. I wasn't always concerned how he was doing. He was smart. He was handling it. Whatever we were getting done, we were getting done. I was happy with what was happening, but I was like, I don't know if I'm doing a good job. So there's a testing site that I go to, and I order the Iowa testing every year, and I test him.
Yeah.
And I test him a grade above, because I don't need to know what he knows. I need to know what he doesn't know. Because the way for me to fill in the curriculum of what to teach him, it was in the gaps, right? It's not in like, oh, great, he knows his multiplications.
Yeah.
I already know that. I don't need to test him on that.
Right.
So I think testing a little bit above their level helps, because there may be some things in there that like you didn't know that he knew.
And then
And you
you're
don't
like,
have to focus on that. You can focus on other things.
like you said, fill in those gaps and everything. That's
Yeah.
fantastic advice. And I'm
Yeah.
going to heed to that as well. What would you say is the best part of it, and probably the worst part of it, or maybe not the worst, the hardest part?
Well, I mean, it sounds so simple, but the best part for me as a mom is having him with me way more than I ever would if he was in regular school life. And I love letting him sleep in. All the years that we were homeschooling, I loved letting him sleep in. And if he wanted to sleep till 9 and roll out of bed and we start school at 11, I loved that. It was the best. The part I don't love, I mean, it's funny because I really love so much about it. We have the freedom to travel. When everybody's on spring break, we do a different spring break.
Probably get cheaper rates too, right?
Yeah,
The
it's just
prime
different.
time.
Yeah, all kinds of things. If and like if kids are in school on like a Monday and it's a holiday for them, we'll work on Monday so we can have time off later. You just get to choose so much of your own life and schedule. So the part that I say that I don't like, well, the thing that was hard for me, you lose time with your friends. Girlfriends are having a birthday lunch. Am I going? No, I can't go. I'm homeschooling.
Yeah.
Girlfriends are getting together for book club. Am I going? No.
Yeah.
I'm homeschooling. I'm not going to morning coffees. I'm not going to Bible study devotions. Everything about my life had to go on the back burner, so to speak, and I had to make a different time for it, if I had the time at all to do it, because all my time was poured into this lifestyle that was around the family, not around the school schedule.
Right. Well, and as you know, with a mom, there's a lot of sacrifices and seasons of life, and it sounds like you've had the mindset of like, this is my focus now. It may or may not be forever, but I'm going to give it my all right now,
I
and
did.
there'll be time for myself later because you know it's very fleeting. And you went all in with your son, and it sounds like I've been very successful with it. So it's
I know how
inspiring and
fast it
encouraging.
goes. It goes so fast, Alicia. I mean, you're gonna blink your eye, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, he's gonna be starting high school." And 3rd grade is an integral year. That this year that you're doing with him, it is so much heavy duty math. It's a tough year for you to take on for
It
the
is.
first year. It's
It
all
is.
multiplication tables. It's all memorization. Like everything this year is um really heavy.
It
So
is.
I
I feel
commend
like
you for
in
that.
a way it feels like I'm like, "Have we skipped a grade?" Because you go from just, like, easy,
Yeah,
cute
yeah,
little homework stuff to, whoa, like and
yeah,
there's been times I've even been like, "Are you sure this isn't 5th grade 5th grade
yeah.
level?" I just can't believe some of the stuff he's learning 3rd grade, which is exciting, but also, like, it feels too old for him that I'm like
It
and then
just shows you how
you
fast they have to grow up, and
yeah,
sometimes it's kind of, like, heartbreaking. You don't want them to have to be so intense so early, but the beautiful part of it is that you get to control the pace of that,
mhm,
and
yeah,
there's no race to the finish line. That's the
right,
other thing I learned. There's no race to the finish line, like, you don't have to do what everybody else is doing, and we would work through the summer.
yeah,
Kids would go take the summer off and they'd come back and it was review. You go back to like where you left off and you're reviewing for 2 or 3 months. Then you start the new stuff in November in the school
yeah,
system
yeah,
and you're like, why?
yeah.
So we would work through the summer,
Yeah,
math and
power
reading.
through. Well, and then I guess it gives you the opportunity to be like, you can just, like you said, travel when you want and build your
Hmm.
life around it. And we will probably
Yes.
be working through the summer as well, mostly just to get him in the habit of it. And
Yep.
as he gets older, trying to factor in, okay, well, if we're going to do schoolwork, when are you going to practice golf? So how, if again, before we get to your business, how did your son, I mean, with homeschool, has it given him just a lot more opportunity to practice? And how did you factor practicing golf into the schedule?
So, yes and no. So, yes, in the sense that we could go and practice whenever we want, right? If we want to do practice in the morning, he would do school in the afternoon. Or if we wanted to take a day off and it was, oh, let's go play 18 holes. We're not going to do any school today.
Mhm,
We're going to catch up later in the week on all the hours we need to do for school.
mhm.
Let's go play 18 holes today. Let's just have a day.
Yeah.
So, yes, we had the freedom to do all of that. As they start to get older, like you're probably feeling this in the 3rd grade right now. You're like, we're supposed to have more time to go golf, but
Mhm,
we're working on these multiplication tables. We're working on this like reading comprehension. Like it takes longer than you think, even though you're homeschooling, because they sleep in, they have a nice breakfast, they're not shoving food down their throat to make it to a bus stop. So all of the extra time that I was like, "Oh, he's going to be able to go golf like 1 o'clock every single day. It didn't turn out being that way
yeah.
because the lifestyle became the
Mhm.
most important thing.
Yes.
Sleeping, eating nutritionally, working, take a break, work again, eat another nutritious meal. And by that time, we're getting to the club at 2 o'clock. Everybody else is getting there 3:30 off the bus.
Mhm,
And a lot of people were like, oh, well, you're so lucky. You have all this extra time to do golf. And it's like, no, unless you're like got your kid on a rigid schedule and they're getting up at 7, doing school from like 9 to 11,
mhm.
go golf all day and then doing some work like 8 to 10 at night, you're not like getting much extra time.
Yeah,
That's just how we have noticed it because
right.
I didn't pick the homeschool lifestyle to make it rigid so that he could have extra hours at the golf
Mhm,
course. I made it so we had the freedom to choose when to go, how long we want to go,
right.
etc. But it wasn't to create another rigid schedule.
Mhm, right.
So that was just us, though. I
Mhm,
mean, other
yeah,
people may be doing it for that reason because they
mhm,
want that edge up on
sure.
golf, but we also aren't in a rush for him to peak
Yeah,
early. And whatever
mhm,
his journey is, wherever it takes him, so be it. We'll give him all the opportunities that he needs, but we're not like in some race to
right. Well
be rigid with it,
yeah, well, it's
so to speak.
amazing. It seems like you are setting your son up for the long game, whatever that is. If that is the
Yeah.
golf or just life, like with, the way you parent, the skills that you're giving him and this freedom to even choose from like his snacks to, yeah, I want to go to high school in person. Like, I think it's so beautiful you give him that independence. And what a great role model you are for us other moms who are learning in this journey.
Well,
But
you'd be surprised how they take such ownership of it. Obviously, you go age appropriately, right? Along the way of giving them things to be owner of, but they really, I don't know, they step into it
yeah,
in such a great way when it's appropriately, I think, mapped out. I've
for
made a million mistakes though. Sometimes I'm too intense and and it's like, "Mom, you need to back off."
yeah.
I make a million mistakes with it, but
Well, I'm sure it's been fun to watch him grow and mature. And with that, I'd love to chat about your business and how Good Girl got started. How long have you been around? And talk to
sure.
me about, let's put your business hat on, which you actually have. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see one of Lisa's products here. But I would love to learn more about how did you start your company?
Sure. It's kind of really light and interest it's kind of funny. So I've always been like in fashion and styling and skincare and beauty lifestyle. It's just always been a part of my background, my life, and everything that I do. And so it became like a running joke with my son at all the golf tournaments and everywhere we go. Like, Mom, people are always asking you where you got your shoes, where you got your hat. And he's like, by the way, I always know where you are because all I have to do is look around. I see the green hat and I know it's my mom. And I kind of laughed at that. And so we're at breakfast at the Birdie's Diner at the PGA um, National there in West Palm Beach Gardens. And my husband goes, well, you should just make your own hats. And I'm like, I think I will. And so this is last June. We were sitting, came home, started talking. I'm like, I just ordered some hats and I have a logo and I'm rolling with it. And he's like, what? That's so fast. And I'm like, yeah, I need a website and all
Love
these
it.
things. And so everything came together from like June to November. And I launched my website in November. I want some fashion, fun golf items. I'm not your typical golf uniform girl. I'm not opposed to it, but it's just not usually my go-to. So I wanted some stuff that was fun outside the box that's like me and like, things that other women might like too. So I
Sure.
launched in November. Most
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Most of my things are sold out because I started small and I just didn't know the response I was going to get. So most everything is like sold out. This is getting restocked in a couple weeks. It's my
Nice.
most popular hat. And I've got some driver covers coming and some fun t-shirts
Awesome.
this spring. And it's just something like love of my heart.
I love it. Well, and it sounds like, I mean, obviously it's a golf brand, but because you're kind of going that untraditional look, it's your lifestyle brand.
Yeah. Yeah, I am. I actually have candle and a body mist scent coming out too. So yeah, I am lifestyle oriented. I guess
Mhm.
it's similar to the same way that I, so-called branded my homeschool experience with
Right.
our family too. And it's
Mhm.
just maybe it's just the way I like to live, I guess. I never
Yeah.
thought of it that way.
Yeah. I love
But
it. Well, and I can tell your passion for your business, for golf, for homeschool, for parenting. I mean, it really comes through on here for sure.
thank
I
you.
feel like
Thank
we're
you.
sitting next to each other, you know?
I know. I feel like we need a coffee. Like I
I
can't believe I'm not
know.
sipping a coffee right
I
now.
know. I know. Well, Lisa, can you tell our guests who are listening or watching how can they find you, connect with you on Instagram? Where can they
Sure.
shop your amazing products? And
Okay.
which will all be on the show notes below. But would love for you to share with our guests how they can find you.
Yeah, sure. I have an Instagram. It's Good Girl Golf Collective that is up and a Facebook. And then my website is www.goodgirlgolfcollective.
And all of that will be in our show notes below. And I highly recommend you connect with Lisa, not only to shop her products, but to see her golf mom journey and even seek advice from her.